evening and welcome to Collector Cars. I'm Lance, your host. With me in the studio tonight, we have a special guest. Hasn't been here in a while. You've been here on the show before.
Oh, I've been here a few times.
Yeah, one of our sponsors, Mr. Gary Taman with Taman Electrical Sound Solutions, the radio guy.
That guy?
That guy.
This guy.
This guy. And my buddy Bill Mergens. How you doing?
Good, good. I'm glad Gary brought all this stuff so I can take it home tonight.
I know. Is this
fabulous?
See, these must
Just write me a check.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I can write
There
it.
you go.
MasterCard.
Well, Gary and I got talking at the show, and we were talking about radios and stuff, and he was telling me about some of the new stuff that's on the market, new stuff that's coming out, new speakers, different things like that. And so I said, you know, this would be a cool idea to give some of this information to the guys, because these classic car guys, you know, some of them, like you say, they don't want to mess up the dash, and they don't want to change things around. They don't want something being seen that wasn't there when it was originally produced. So I'm going to ask you about, first of all, why don't we talk first about that, what is it called again? It's called the Secret...
Which box? Are we talking about the Secret Audio?
Yes.
This is a new product that just came out. They have had others, other variations of it, but this is a brand new one. It's called the Secret Audio SST, stealth technology, something along that line.
Okay.
But basically what it is, let's say that your car...
Do you think I could actually hook that up?
Actually, yes. It's not that hard. But let's say you have a Model A Ford, or maybe a Street Rod, something that maybe didn't even have a radio to begin with, and you're trying to put something in there without really messing anything up or keeping it hidden. You can mount this under the seat. You can mount it possibly in the glove compartment. You can put it in the trunk, any place in the car that's out of sight. And this is your control panel. This will light up and give you a display of exactly everything that you're doing.
Okay.
You know, volume control, all your presets, all of that's right in here.
Now this would have to be mounted in the car.
Well, you can mount it under the dash. You can mount it in the dash. Again, if it's a Street Rod, it's got the hardware for actually mounting it in. Okay. My favorite is sun visor.
Okay.
Put this in the sun visor or clip it to the sun visor.
Right.
When you take the car to a show, people are looking down in the car. Right. They do not see it. And even if the sun visor's up, it could be completely hidden. But when you're driving the car, you can flip down, you can set your buttons, adjust your volume, and there you are.
Now, what if somebody says, look, I don't want anything in the car whatsoever?
Well, if you don't want to see this, put this in a hidden place, wireless remote.
Cool.
And they say that this will operate 40 feet from the car. I've never tried that. I've just done it in the shop in the bench. But yes, it does work, and it works very well.
So you have the whole thing on a wireless remote if you want.
You have all of that. Now, all of these wires, if you have something RCA jacks that are inputs.
I've set things on fire that had less complicated wiring.
But you can plug in the device for inputs. You have, now this is rated at 200 watts, but if that isn't enough for some reason, there are 4 outputs, line level outputs, if you want to buy a separate amp and do that, and it's got a subwoofer output. And for inputs, if you want to connect an iPod, I'm not sure which one of these is which here, but there's an iPod where you can connect the iPod and operate the iPod from this or this. Yeah. If you don't have the iPod, you can, there's a USB port. You can
hook up a CD player.
Well, you can connect this. There's the 10-disc CD changer available that will work with this as well. Okay. But take a flash drive. Just put your music from the computer on a flash drive. Plug that in here. Operate it right from this.
Bill and I have talked about this.
Yep.
When RJ did a show, that Corvette show, he comes with his little USB thing. What is it called again? Flash drive. Pops that in the laptop, and bing, bang, boom, he had music all night long.
Yep, right. So this even has a Sirius adapter. If you want satellite radio, you can connect the Sirius player into this and operate that from the panel. So it's all there.
Yeah.
Everything is there, and it's completely hidden.
What does a unit like that run?
This is retailing for $289.95.
Which isn't any more than you're going to pay for a regular.
Actually, that is list. The price that I'm going to put on it, again, they just came out. I have yet to put it on my website. The price, my price will be $279.95.
Okay, that's a pretty good deal. That is a really neat item, especially for the classic cars.
Right.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned to me Well, first of all, what is this one over here? That's not a new Stealth model.
This is a conversion. Basically, you look at it in the dash. It happens to be, I believe, a '67 Buick, full-size Buick, but it's an AM radio out of a Buick.
All set to go.
That has been converted. There's a board that looks like this. This is one of the boards.
Okay.
That is 180 watt RMS, which, if you know anything about RMS and peak, RMS is your true power. That's actually more powerful than this.
Is it?
It would equate to about 250 watts peak.
And
but that is a 4-channel stereo.
With this gizmo, you've just turned that into basically a state-of-the-art modern
What I do is
system.
Disassemble this, clean it up, detail it, remove the original circuitry, put this board in, and wire it up to it so that it works with the original tuner, the original controls. It's compatible with Wunderbar radios, Town and Country, just about anything they ever came out with as far as gizmos it's compatible with, and it works well. And it is an AM/FM stereo. You turn it on, it'll be FM stereo. This is an AM radio. You turn it off and immediately back on, you'll switch to AM.
Okay.
There's also ways of adjusting your balance, fader, and other things from the front panel.
Very cool.
But for the most part, it works just like your original radio. It's got the same look and feel to it.
Very, very neat stuff. And this is the conversions that we've been advertising that you do it, you know.
Exactly.
Telling people what you do at the shows and so forth. You are getting cars from basically all over the world.
Yes. Yes.
From your advertising and so forth, you do all the...
Mostly the U.S., but of course I've had a few from New Zealand, Australia, and the Middle East.
And you had one recently from a very unique place that I would never have thought you'd have gotten one, and that was the North Pole.
Yes, I had a Buick, came from North Pole, Alaska.
Radio must have been pretty cold.
Yes, now we know what Santa Claus is going to be driving, and yes, the car will be big enough for all the toys.
That's good. Yes, you showed me a picture.
And he'll be jamming to the tunes all the way.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. The only sleigh with jamming tunes. That is some pretty neat stuff. And I've talked to some of the guys who've had that you've done radios for, and they love it. You know, they well on your commercial where it's that stuff. You know, and that's what these guys go through. Which, incidentally, he has Gary has on his bench my Trans Am radio. We finally got the original for the in-dash. So I could literally put that in, make it look real pretty, and put one of those puppies under the seat and have satellite and Sirius and everything else.
Exactly.
Not a bad deal. Now, do car show DJs get a break on that? Do they get any kind of...
Oh. It all depends.
I love it. I'll tell you, you've been a great sponsor, Gary. You've been supporting the shows for a long time, and I'll tell you, we've had an awful lot of fun, my friend.
Oh, yes.
A lot of fun at the shows.
Quite often we talk about the old days when it all began.
When it all you were well, that's why Gary is #1 on the Collector Cars TV Cruising to the Hop membership. And when this came about, we decided, well, how are we going to decide who gets what number? And we were thinking about #1 because a lot of guys said, well, I want to be #1. Well, we thought the best way to do it, the very first person that ever signed into one of my shows, and it was my first Chick-fil-A show, was Gary Taman.
The very first car show.
I told my wife, I said, honey, that's got to be it right there.
I showed up, nobody else was there. I was about to leave, and then I saw some other cars come in, so I
you were
parked
there
again, and sure enough, and we had a nice show that night.
You were there the night I blew up the boom box and the whole bit, and it went up in smoke on me.
The first time, the second time, the third time.
Bill, I think we should get to the clip.
That sounds like a time for a clip.
Mr. John Graham, our cruising reporter, bringing us some cars from the Antique Automobile Club of America show in Connecticut. We start out, check this out, 1958 Lincoln. It's a premier 2-door hardtop.